Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the very special Confessions of a Gamer Boy podcast. I'm here today with the well known around the Australian circuit of gaming, Jack with the Fingers.
Hi, welcome. How you doing? Thanks for listening.
Welcome. Welcome to me. Welcome to me, and welcome to everyone listening. Uh, um, For those of you who don't know who Jack is, Jack, can you please give everyone a little spiel about what you do and who you are in gaming?
Yeah, no problem at all. So I'm usually just go by Jack, but Jack with the fingers if you're wanting to look for me anywhere. A queer disabled streamer who streams and creates other stuff on Bunurong land in Victoria, Australia.
Amazing. Jack, I remember the first time that I met you and I wasn't looking at your fingers. And the first time I met you in person, because you were just so tall and you were like so smiley and lovely. Like I didn't honestly, I had no idea that you were disabled. Until after the fact when I actually looked you up because I went to tag you in something and I was like, oh damn, okay. Didn't even realize that. Because I think it was just your energy and your
Mhm.
personality that I met first. Maybe that's like my naivety, or maybe I just recognize energies more in people. But
No, not at all. If anything, a very good friend of mine. It took her, even though like we met each other under sort of disability condition sounds really weird, but the reason why we sort of met each other is because we'd gone to an event that was around
yeah,
disability, and so was well aware. And so we had been catching up for lunches and dinners and what have you for like a year, maybe 2 years,
oh
and
god,
then
don't.
no. One day she just clicked because I'm one of those people. It's like glasses are on the table. There's a bottle of water. Cool. I'll just start pouring for people. And
Mm-mm.
she's like, I've just figured out why you pour the way that you pour. And she's like, I've always like the back of my brain's just gone, oh, he pours water real fancy. And I was like, no, I don't have enough fingers to just do it one handed. So it looks fancy if you're not paying attention. So it
Yeah.
happens all the time. It happens all the time.
Okay. All right then. I don't feel so strange about that. Um, I'm not alone, obviously.
No.
But yeah, I must say, like, being a creator in this space, we often talk about, being women, and how it can be a difficult time navigating that, especially with, particular groups of people, different, but, political things that are going on. But you yourself, I don't think you've ever let that stop you. You've just kind of just done it.
Look, we can probably chalk some of that up to the parenting. So I'm the oldest of five, and we grew up on a farm, and it was very much like we'll just find a way for you to do things. And so like
Mm,
was thrown into like every after school sports under the sun. Just and just always you just find a way essentially.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Um, I do get Big Brother vibes from you, so thank you for bringing them here. We do love that. But I think the reason why I wanted to bring you onto this podcast is because you have always not only been a supporter of me once I kind of like delved in, once I got into like, the outer circle, of your proximity. I guess that's just how
Mhm,
like
mhm.
a lot of creators are, right? Um, but yeah, like just overall, like you're constantly advocating for either minorities or smaller streamers or women or women's rights. Talking about obviously your own community in the LGBTQI plus community. Like you've always been that. You've cropped a lot of like flack for that.
It is interesting, and I think sort of the like first of all, just around support, like I think you would be really hard pressed to if you're someone who's listening to this, you'd be really hard pressed to sort of sit there and go, none of this sort of affects me at all about any sort of issue. Like, because all of us have a circle of friends, we have family, we have extended family. Like, you
Mhm.
are interconnected to different people in different ways. And I think sort of I remember back when, say, like we were going through like all the marriage equality debates and the protests and rallies and all that sort of stuff. And someone at the time was like, "You're single. Like, why are you going to this?" I was like, "Because like it's going to be easier to fight for this now versus like, oh, now that I have like now that I have a stake in this, now I want to fight for it." I was like, "No, we can just fight for it now." So similarly, when like when we see things around, say, like women's reproductive rights or children's access to like gender affirming care being either removed or threatened to be removed, it's like, no, we need to go and jump in there now. And I think because a lot of the time, even sort of the work that I do in the real world, so not in the content creation space, it's very much around like you're usually creating stuff or working on stuff that is going to help someone you will never meet because you're putting stuff in place that means they will never need to access you
Mm.
because it's already there. So I think I've always sort of tackled it from that sort of perspective. And I think sort of in like the sort of broader advocacy, so since I started streaming, I've always had like a monthly donation to something. So last month the donation was to Transgender Victoria. This month it's to Guide Dogs Victoria. And like I think it's so easy to do a lot of like passive advocacy just through sort of bots in your chat and stuff like that too. Sort of just going, hey, like every so often a little message comes up. This is who we're supporting. This is why. This is where you can find them. Because I think quite often people just have never sought any sort of additional information. And so sometimes if you just put it there, people go, oh, okay, like, oh, that's where I can start and I'll have a look.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that's really great that you're not only going out of your way to advocate for, these charities and, give people actionable things that they can do for not only in their own lives, but also in their streams as well. Yeah, like that's huge. So we really, really everyone should appreciate that, and I think take a leaf out of your book. But I think probably what I really want to get from you today is what are some issues that you have found within your own friendship groups in regards to women, and what are your concerns around those?
I think sort of like the main one is around safety, right?
Mhm.
And I know sort of we had a discussion after your panel that you ran at PAX last year around it's something that I've always been aware of, and then also particularly like growing up as like a kid with a disability, like I feel like I was paying the same amount of attention, say in self-defense class, as like the other
Yeah.
girls in the class, because it's like, oh, I'm not going to be able to, and this is such a term, but like fight like a boy, because I'm not going to be able to sort of grab people and throw a punch or what have you. And so
Yeah.
I'm taking this in. And I think too, like with a lot of, say, like my close girlfriends, there's, as we've grown over the years, there's been lots of discussion around safety, just also like also the fact that I have sisters as well. Like it's that whole thing of like, oh, okay, we're going separate directions, but I'm going to walk you to your platform to make sure you get on your train, or I'm going to walk you to your car because it's just safer, and it's not this extra chore, although it's definitely discussed as that sometimes around sort of particularly when I was younger. So like the sort of straight guys in the friendship group were younger, and you would occasionally have someone be like, "Oh, I had to walk like 3 blocks to go get to her car." And I was like, "Yeah, but you now know that she's safely gotten her car, and then
Yeah.
is more likely to safely get home. Like it shouldn't be seen as this. Oh, I had to do this. It's like no, like
Mm.
yeah, your disdain, your anger should be towards the men that have cause this feeling
Yeah.
for like everyone else, essentially. Yeah,
You're
it's
actually not upset with your friend, you're actually upset for all of the men that actually put her in danger,
yeah,
and put
yeah,
women in danger every single day.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
although statistically, I mean, most perpetrators are someone that we know anyway. But
Mhm.
yeah, if you can be a person to not let that happen, then why not be that? And potentially, it could just be women do have a more caregiving kind of a way about them. But I think that it is men's business to they have a stake in this fight. Would you agree with
Yeah.
that?
And I think too, it's also the fact that we live in the day and age that we do, where you have your social media platforms, so
Mm,
it's not difficult for you to find women who are telling their stories and are explaining why why they might ask certain questions before they agree to go on a date, why they might be like, oh hey, like let's go grab a coffee first because I don't know you, and a nice public space in the daytime is a lot safer for me.
yeah.
I think it's sort of the because I see it similarly around sort of in lately mainly around disability where people
Mm,
will still sort of be ignorant around discussions when it's like there's so many resources out there. The one I'd normally direct them to is like the you can't ask that on
yeah,
iView because I'm like
that's a
there's
great
already been a
show.
bunch of people who have put up their hand to answer your stupid question. You don't need to go and ask your new colleague. Like you can go and find some of the grittier details for yourself somewhere else. But it I think we definitely in this day and age where I didn't know is no longer it's no longer
Mm,
an excuse or a reason. It's like, well, you definitely should, and purely just by listening, right? Like it's like I didn't expect you
yeah.
to go out and do some hard hitting journalism. Just listen to people who are already talking about it because these conversations are happening in the workplace, on public transport, like in the
Yeah.
restaurant that you're at. You can hear them everywhere,
Yeah,
and
but
it's
I
really
think
not difficult.
don't you think women are having these conversations more than men? And do you think that men like tune themselves out from some women because they're constantly talking about their mental health. Oh, they're constantly talking about their period. Oh, like that kind of brushing off, I feel is really prevalent sometimes.
I think sort of what's been really apparent, especially say like in the last week or so, around sort of the election and
Mm,
influences that are getting involved in elections, is that there's even more dismissive language that's being used to predominantly women creators. Like I
yeah.
definitely don't see them coming as hard after the men who are creating content around the election, and it's kind of infuriating because I think the perception is, oh, it's because they're these young women, they don't know any better. I was like, yep, but everyone younger than them and older than them just see you treating a woman like that,
Yeah.
and like like it's a popularity contest, right? Essentially, like, hey, I want your vote, and
Yep.
you've told more than 50% of the population I don't care. I don't
Yeah.
care about you, or I don't see this as much of a problem as that you know that it is. I think too, like it's definitely. I feel like it's changed in some ways around sort of men sort of listening more and learning more, but then I think it's sometimes it's easy as going into like a woman stream or someone who's femme presenting and give it 5 minutes and some person is in the chat either
Yeah.
being quite heinous or disrespectful, um, and that always to me like it's like there's a flash of anger, right? But then then for me anyway, there's also annoyance because it's like you came looking for this purely to do this. Do you not have anything else better to do? Like
Yeah.
like anything else? Like why did you like, you know what? I'm gonna find a woman on the internet and tell her that she can't play a video game, even though I'm clearly
Yeah.
watching her play a video game.
Yeah, that's right.
Ridiculous.
Um, I do see some improvement, but the only improvement I really see is more women just not giving a fuck. Like,
Mhm.
and just putting their, whether they are gaming content creators, whether they are, I assume you're talking about like Abby Chatfield and
Mhm,
all of
mhm.
the lovely work that she's doing around educating young people and the people that are in her community about how the election works and having like really candid conversations with politicians, because at the end of the day, like they get up there and they have the press conferences and stuff like that. Half the time I'm like, what language is this, and how is any
Mhm.
regular person supposed to actually understand that? And she's talking to them like real people. And
Yep.
then, you've got, Joe Blow, whatever, coming into a comment saying, her, like, your tits are out. That's the only reason why people are actually watching this. Um, and completely like ignoring the fact that she's actually I think she's actually the first, I guess, pop culture influencer that has actually taken on Australian politics and actually
Mhm.
brought it to her audience, because she's realized there's just so much that people just aren't understanding. And you know what, Joe, the more you comment on Abby Chatfield or whoever, like, the more you're gonna get that, and the more infuriated you're gonna be, and the worse it's going to be for you, darling. So maybe
Yep.
just put the phone down and, I don't know, go for a walk your dog, I don't know, walk your friend's dog, I don't know, go for a really long walk into the ocean, I don't know. Whatever's gonna help you, mate. Because honestly, when it's constant, it is barrage after barrage, women can't exist without a man having some sort of, kind of judgment over it. And
Mhm.
quite frankly, I think a lot of us have had enough. And I think we've just become louder about it, to be honest.
Absolutely. And I think the say that you I'll say that like the men that I sort of see and follow in sort of like the creator space or the streaming
Mm,
space, the like really good sort of like champions across the board for creators rather than like, oh, like, well, I'm a man and we've just been playing Call of Duty, so then we're gonna go raid another man. It's like, nah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
we've either played something like really high energy and like personally I need to calm down and I know people in the chat need to calm down. And so we're going to go raid this person because they're doing something a bit cozy. And I think like it's a really good way of like almost like just passively teaching self-care without being like, hey
Yeah.
guys, we're doing this for self-care. It's like, no, like, oh, I need a break because we've been essentially running and jumping in a horror game, and now we've got someone
Mm.
who we know and love that is currently doing some crochet. Like, let's go do that. Like, let's just go and unwind with
But Jack,
them.
isn't men aren't allowed to have feelings, and
No.
therefore they weren't taught self-care by the other men in their lives, and then listening to their peers apparently is, I don't know, people say, "Oh, that's gay." Like, "Oh, it'd be really gay to, go and relax," and, I think
Which apparently
cozy
is
game.
making apparently that's making a comeback in, like, the school playground as
Yeah,
an
it
insult,
is,
and I was like,
it is.
"What? We dealt with that."
We did this already, we had enough.
Yeah, why are we
Um,
going again?
but no, like, cozy games are automatically labeled as feminine, all because some of the games deal with, some emotions, and some of them are
And
very
heaven forbid they
zen.
have a few pronouns in there. Oh,
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 there's too
my
much
goodness.
purple hair in this game.
Yep,
The girls have short hair. Oh my
yep.
days.
Oh my god, she's got a buzz cut on the side. The audacity.
What? No, 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 no.
But also
Um,
anyone that's like, oh, cozy games. I don't know if you've seen like the vast amount of people who play Sims. Nothing cozy there. Some of that is the most unhinged stuff I've ever seen.
most definitely. But then I've seen some really like, I guess, cozy, calm creators, they have a great time, and they might play Fortnite like that. I saw this one person, and he tries to survive as long as he can. I think it's a guy. Um and he just puts out med packs for people, and he helps them. But then he
That's
ends up losing every time
that's
because
real
there's
adorable though.
yeah,
That's so
yeah, and I'm like,
adorable.
that's wholesome. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
there's this, I think it's called Gamer Girl Island or something, and that is a map on Fortnite, and it's just like there's dancing competitions and yeah, like fashion competitions in
Just
there,
give me
and
a
you
minute.
can
I need to start downloading Fortnite because clearly she's changed, and there's me in there. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, there is. So it's like I think that people make what they want out of a game, and I don't think you can necessarily label any game as cozy, because our friend Shay manages to cause havoc in some of the most coziest of
Mm.
games. So,
Yeah,
but
this is
yeah,
a
I
cozy
think
game. Why is your blood pressure through the roof?
yeah. Why are you yelling at the pumpkins?
Yeah,
Why?
yeah.
What? Calm down. Um,
Oh,
look, I think unfortunately, it's just guys need to. I think like if I was a man, go- honestly, if I was a man, oh my god! But also, if I
look
was a
out.
man, I would. I honestly just to have this conversation with with your mates. Like
Hmm.
if they're struggling, if they're you know burning out, if all of a sudden they're having like these massive personality changes, if it's eating into their personal life, if it's, this game, or, streaming is just making them absolutely manic. They're losing sleep, they're not doing well at school, or, they're about to lose their job. Like, is it really that hard to have those conversations with other men?
I think, particularly say the group of straight guys sort of in my circle, I do remember, and we're going back like, showing my age, like 18 years or so, during sort of like university days.
Mm.
They had a friend that they essentially had to do like a intervention for around World of Warcraft because one of them got
My
one of them
man.
got to about like
That's my guy. I get it.
I think too, like it's where it's that sort of making sure that you are looking after yourself while also doing the things that you enjoy.
Yeah.
Because yeah, one of the guys got to, I think it was about 3 days of not really sleeping, not going to class, not looking after themselves,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
just and it's I think that's where I think it's one of the sort of first instances, say like in adulthood, where I saw the other guys be like, "This is not okay. We need to do something about it because,
Yeah.
like, we're not at home. Someone's mum isn't going to fix this.
Yeah.
Like, we need to fix it." And the
Yeah.
girls want no part of it because they've got nothing to do with it.
Mm, mm.
And like, and those guys are still really tight today. And watching, say, them become fathers, but also like way more involved than say like my generation of parents have
Yeah.
been, and just the way that they talk around things and the way that they have conversations around sort of respect and sharing and making sure that they're sort of treating everyone like the same, because they're all a
Mm.
bit, everyone's different, everyone has things that you are going to like and not like about them, but that doesn't mean that
Mhm.
you shouldn't ask them to come and play on the swings or whatever it might be. So
Yeah.
that's been really encouraging to sort of see. But then
Do you
like
think
that,
it's because they're not chronically online that they're able to do that? Like, we're talking about people who actually make careers out of, playing World of Warcraft for 3 days straight, or, whatever game it might be. We're talking about people who do like 24-hour, streaming challenges, and, like they put stickers all over their face or write people's names all over their bodies. Like,
I will say the first time I sort of came across someone who's like, oh, we're doing like, and it was something like that actually made me concerned. like it's a 48-hour stream, blah blah blah. And I was
Yeah.
like, are you kidding? Like that's so
That's a
like that's unhealthy.
Are
And
you
then
gonna be sleeping for 12 of those hours?
well,
Like,
that's
I
the
know
thing.
some
You
people
click in
do that.
there, yeah. I click in there, and it's like, oh hey, we're currently sleeping, and I was like, good, good, because that's what it's like. Hey, look, we're doing this, but like I'm also going to look after myself because
Mm,
I'm not going to be a good time. And sure, it's like I think too is the push and pull of creating good content like in this space is it's like yeah sure like I've definitely oh god this is kind of a very quick tangent. So there is a guy Sebastian Terry who has this list of 100 things that I think the list keeps growing now. Has a list of 100 things that he's going through, essentially a bucket list. One of them was to stay awake for 72 hours. And a friend and I sort of like was accompanying him while he filled those 72 hours of stuff. And but like by the end, loopy. Like as in
mm.
like an entire bottle of tequila loopy.
Oh
And it's
my
like, sure, it might having like a 24, 48, 72 hour stream might end up with some really good content, but like to
god.
do that at the cost of your like not just mental health but your physical health at all as well. It's like that's not healthy because you do have people that go, oh no, I'm not sleeping in this stream because I'm a man and I'm going to do the whole thing. You're like, no, no, don't do that. Like go have a lie down. It's going to be okay. People
No,
people
but
will lurk.
well, yeah, that's it because you can just
Mm,
leave it on, right? But no, I think the idea of and I don't know, like I'm not here to like look after any man in particular, right? But
mhm.
I think that there's something needs to be said about men in this community and just looking after one another. And why is it so hard? And I feel like it's got something to do with the kinds of games that they play, how competitive they are, and then like that competitive language that the competitive mantra, the and then the bros squad, and then next minute we've got like a manosphere going on. It's just
I think too that makes me think about the conversation that we would have had a month or so ago now around
mm,
sort of like confessions of a gamer boy question mark like
yeah,
do we use that and I think it's definitely say the reaction that we saw around like gamergate or when any woman exists on the internet playing video games is that it's that sort of like the anger around you're taking up my space, you're using my toys, like this isn't for
yeah,
you. And even like the negativity around like gamer boy because it's like no it should just be gamer because gamer is inherently for the boys. You're like no it makes me think of Virginia Trioli, who was at the time doing sort of like the morning breakfast radio program for ABC, and started differentiating AFLW and AFLM, and the amount of people who called in angry, and she's rightly there going, "Well, I'm talking about all of it all the time, so how am I meant to differentiate?" And I just remember one caller being like, "Well, it's because if it's AFL, that's the men one." You're like, yeah,
it's
but
a
dude, we have both now, so you need to talk about both, and you need to
yeah,
distinguish between both. Yeah, it's
yeah,
it's it's
yeah. No,
really
it's
yeah.
yeah. There's only a distinguishing thing about something if there's a feminine aspect or if there's
hmm
females doing it, right?
Female
Because
comedian. You're
well,
like,
that's
or a
right. A
comedian.
female stand-up, like yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But but I will say, I believe that actor and actress is no longer. It is simply actor. I
hmm
think outside of the
hmm
awards, isn't that right?
I think in the awards they still differentiate between the two, but then yeah, I've definitely over the last few years, I think it's just actor. Like, and I think it's a mix of the say like your high grade celebrity women being like, oh, this is how you will introduce me, but then also say
Mm,
like the people in the media space being like, well, that's what we're going to start saying.
Mm,
Like it's that
mm,
whole thing, and it's like it's what we say like in the creator space or the public more general. It's like if you have a community being like, this is the language that we'd like you to use because we're going to be using it. It's that you see sort of the most sort of progress around language is when, say, like the media or whoever else is involved goes, okay, cool, no problem, that's how you would like to your job to be referred to, that's what we're going to start referring it to.
hmm Yeah, and that's it. And so here I am saying gamer boy is okay because
Absolutely.
I mean, we get called gamer girls all the time. And you know what? I'm here to embrace it. Like being a gamer girl has never been a negative thing to me. Like women bring a unique quality to gaming. We're very collaborative and we're very embracing of our
Mhm.
audience and very caring, right? Well, uh, oh, I'm not here to make like assumptions, but just in general, right? So for me, I'm proud. I'm proud to be a woman in this space, and I don't see it as a negative. So if anyone wants to take offense to being called a gamer boy, um, well, that's just on you.
Yeah.
Because yeah, like I when I first even created the name Confessions of a Gamer Girl, people were like, why can't it just be Confessions of a Gamer? And I'm like, because first of all, that doesn't sound as cool. Also, like confessions sounds, like um, a bit more spicy, and like and when
Mhm.
you combine that with gamer girls, like, like what are we going to talk about? Sometimes you never really know what's coming next, right? So I think yeah, kind of leaning into that entertainment aspect. But I know that you don't care about being called a gamer boy. So and
No,
that's
not at all.
going Oh, definitely. Um, Jack, what advice so far? Because I know obviously we've had a little bit of time between when we spoke and to now. Like, do you have any specific advice for men in this space that that do want to support and be good humans to their women friends without coming across as hitting on them?
Look,
Also, if you're nice to them, they're
I know
not
nothing
gonna.
about hitting on a woman. so,
Yeah,
so no tips
that's
there.
the
Sorry,
thing.
guys.
But you know what? That's the thing. Like you're a safe male because
Yeah, yeah.
you're gay.
Yeah, absolutely,
It's
absolutely,
wild, and
absolutely.
it's
I think it's sort of, say, particularly say in the online space, like whether you're looking to support um, one person, multiple people, say whether it's on like something a bit more curated like YouTube, or if it's something that's more live like on your Twitch.
Mhm.
I always just approach it like the same way that I do when I'm like trying to find new people to sort of, follow and support. And then also, like, let's be honest, particularly in like the online space, like what are you doing that's a cool thing that I could add to like make myself better?
Yeah.
Because that's what I find most collaborative, of like, oh hey, cool, like I really enjoy the way that you have created this little asset, or I really like the introduction that you do. Is it okay if I sort of mirror that or something like that?
Mhm.
Is it? It's like, go and find them, because it's not difficult to find. Not difficult to find people, particularly say like on Twitch, where you've got tags that you can
Yep.
just literally search for, um, and then lurk for a few minutes. There's going to be people who you just don't vibe with their energy, and that's fine. So like, don't follow them because you're like, well, I won't actually enjoy this.
Oh,
Like,
so
go
what
and
do you mean? I
find
don't make
people.
a derogatory comment and tell them how bad they are at a game? Like, I should just
Yeah,
not do that?
I'm not going to follow you because I don't like your energy. No one needed to know that.
I'm
No
gonna
one,
let you know how I don't
exactly.
enjoy you.
Exactly. Well, and it's wild that happens, and that like it's like we're making a joke of it, but like it's not because it doesn't happen. But it's that whole thing that's like you have the ability to sort of, if you pretend that like someone is playing the video game in a room, Like it's just in a stock standard room, and there might be several people, there might be dozens of people who are also sitting in there watching them play that game, and you've just stepped into the back and you're just up against the wall, and you might be there for a few minutes, and you're like, yeah, this isn't for me. Like I don't like this type of game. I don't like, the
Yeah,
way
yeah.
that they're talking about the game, or I'm not interested in their interests. And they just step back out of the room again and then go walk into the next one. It's really easy to find people that you're going to vibe with, like regardless of gender as well. Like there's going
Mm,
to be
mm.
plenty of creators that you will come across and be like, oh, I can definitely, do my laundry while I listen to them talk about trying to speed run a Sonic game or something, or I
Yeah.
can definitely, hang out and chat with people because they've got common interests around, say, like a TV show or something, and that's what the chat's all about. But the streamer themselves might be, you know, planting vegetables in Animal Crossing or something like that. Like it, or definitely that's the thing too. There's plenty of like women out there that are also taking headshots and
Oh,
dishing out
yeah.
headshots that you can also go follow. Like there's such a there is, what, 8 billion people on the planet. You're going to find several dozen people that you're going to vibe with to support if that's what you want to do. And I think too, um, around supporting, I think a lot of the time, people might jump straight to like, oh well, I'm not in a financial situation to be able to, subscribe and all that
Mm,
sort of stuff
mm.
too. Is like your number literally just being there like does
Yeah.
add to, say, like ad revenue, but it also, jumping in and be like, hey, I'm just like, the amount of times that I jump into people's streams, I'm like, hey, I'm lurking because I'm in a work day and I've just got you on in the background rather than, say, like a podcast or some music or whatever,
Mhm.
because that's how easy it can be to support people. You don't have to be an absolute champion, but if you want to be a champion, go for it as well. You can definitely be in there and be like a strong member of that community as well, if that's the community that you find yourself in.
Mm. I've never been, a receiver of this kind of thing, but I have kind of seen it, on some more larger female streams. Do you think
Mhm.
that guys compete, like, in the donations, in the gifting of subs arena?
I I think it could definitely be a thing. I think, say, like, I've probably seen clips of it where people are jumping in and you're like, whoa, like that's I I liken it to like a surprise public like proposal, in that it's like you're
Okay.
kind of trapping them. Like
Yeah.
if someone walked up to you on the street and said, "I want to give you," and like let's be outrageous, "I want to give you $20,000 because you're so amazing and beautiful," you'd be like, "Oh, like thank you." Like an internal monologue is like, "What the hell is going on? I
This
don't
is a
know who you
trap.
are.
This is
Where?"
money
Yeah, exactly.
laundering.
Yeah,
Are you a
like
drug
something's wrong
dealer?
with the money. There's a white van somewhere that's just going to pop around the corner, and I'm going to disappear. And I definitely see there. It's only, say, sort of the people that are very very used to like being online, and
Mm,
like that is their day-to-day job, who do sort of brush it off, and that's probably purely because they've gotten used to it and they've either had some training around it or they've just worked it as a skill over time. But
mm,
there's definitely sort of people that you see, like when like a I would say crazy amount of bits gets dropped, and they're like, "Oh, thank you," and because they're doing the math, and they're like, "That's too much. I'm hanging out playing a video game, and that's great that you would like to support me, but you can support me in a smaller amount because now it's moving into uncomfortable." Because
yeah.
I think a lot of the like just in regards to like experiences with men, and having conversations with girlfriends around men and dating, it's like, oh, okay, like, no, let's go, let's split the bill because I don't want you to have this assumption that I now owe you something because you've paid for everything. And I feel like that's
Yeah.
definitely going to be like an internal monologue happening when someone drops a large amount of donation in, say, like your stream, and you're sitting there going, well, that equates to like $200-300. Are you
Yeah.
expecting anything in return? Are you just being nice and you're in a financial position to do so? Like,
I don't
and
know.
you know,
I think it's safe to just assume that. But I
yeah,
do know
yeah,
that those charges can be taken back. I know there's been a number of women that I've seen post on Twitter, and they have
mhm,
been like, XYZ, this person did this, they donated to me, and then they DM'd me later, and then they said that they'd refund them if they the transactions if I didn't do, send
mhm,
them a explicit photo of myself or whatever.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, like I think it's safe to just assume
That it's
that people are
nefarious.
just there to
Yeah.
support you. And yeah, I look, I've received some generous donations in the past, like around events and things like that, and I know Shay has as well. And yeah, like it has been from people that we've known in the community,
Mhm,
and they know our financial position around something, or it has been for something in particular. Like, I've been generous as well with some people if they're saving for like, trips overseas and things like that. If when I have been in the position to do so, because I'm trying to like pay it forward, right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
and but I think um a lot of people who are a bit more insecure, maybe they're newer, younger in the scene. I think that that's when some boundaries can break down, because they're not understanding that that could potentially lead to a very dangerous parasocial relationship with
mhm.
that person. Um, so yeah, I well, what I would say for that, even though I asked the question, I suppose, would be to just assume that yes, that person is in that, position to be able to donate, and they're, helping you, buy a new graphics card or something, or a camera or whatever. Um, and then yeah, if someone does ask for something in return that you're not comfortable with, like that's where it ends. And you know what? They can refund the transaction. It doesn't matter. I wouldn't lose any sleep over someone who's going to be like that. But I know that some people like to flex their power with that kind of thing, which I think is really disgusting, to be honest.
There's also sort of a bit of personal power around, depending on which country that you're in, being aware of like not only your rights but like your avenues as well. So like in Australia we have like the e-commissioner. So
Yeah,
if something like that is happening, like you can report it. Like
yeah,
it doesn't have to be something that you have to find a way of dealing with on your own. You can definitely find different supports and resources and avenues in various locations as well.
yeah, definitely. Make sure you have those screenshots, all that kind of stuff. And the panel that you attended, the panel that I presented at DreamHack on this exact thing, yes, the e-commissioner, it will, there's a number you can call, you can email them, they'll let you know your rights. Even if that person lives overseas, they're committing a crime in
Mhm.
Australia. So, they are liable to have their accounts removed, or all that kind of thing. So yeah, there is help available out there. But yeah, I just wish that maybe there could be some more preventative measures, like having chats to people that to especially amongst men. Like, I think it's okay to have feelings. It's okay to be struggling with things, but I also think it's okay for other men to kind of say, "Hey, like, what's going on with that?" Or like, "Why did you do that?" I don't think that's fair.
Yeah, and look, I've definitely had people who have come into chat like too hot, right? They come in, they're like, "Oh, okay," like and
They're at a
sometimes
9.
it's just yeah, you're like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa," like, "Hi, what happened to my name is nice to meet you," like, but like sort of coming in and really getting straight into either it might be something around like, you know, disability, like, oh, I don't
Yeah.
understand how you can play a game when apparently you have no fingers. You're like, oh, here we go. Or it might be like, oh, I didn't realize this is a gay game for gay people, when regardless of what you're
What's a
playing.
gay game? What?
Like any game that involves buttons, apparently. But it is like the I have like some really wonderful mods that I'm like, oh hey, like if someone
Yeah.
comes in hot, give me a second. Like give me a second to be like, hey, like what's going on? Because I think
You okay?
the I think if you've got the bandwidth, if you have the spoons to go, actually, you know what? Like I've gotten to the point in this game that I can play this without having to give it my 100% of my attention.
Mm.
This person has some feelings. Let's see, because sometimes they have never actually had someone give them the time. And I'm not saying that you
Now,
do,
Jack, we
but
shouldn't
you are
play with
owed the time.
people's feelings,
No,
okay?
no,
We don't
no,
play.
no. So what I'm saying is around like they come in hot like that, and you're like, oh my goodness. Okay, so hi, nice to meet you. That's incredibly forward to come in. Like, is there anything, say, specifically around disability that you might be curious about, and you just didn't know how to ask that in a different way?
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's just like sometimes it's just getting people to like reread what they just sent and go, oh, that was a bit rude. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and sometimes you can change a person just because you like, you know what, I have the capacity to de-escalate this in
Yeah.
a really, like, for myself in a really easy way. Um, but that's also to say the mods are ready with the ban hammer.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
always ready because like sometimes when they're like,
Yep.
cool, they're engaged, I'm going to double down, and you're like, you know what, Catherine, do the thing, swing the
Pull
hammer,
the
and
lever.
she does. She swings hard.
No, but I will say, okay, I look, it's never okay to joke about disabilities, but I feel like if a guy comes into my stream and they're asking me like what my bra size is, or like, oh gee, that's a tight top, isn't it? Like there's really no way to kind of educate that
Mhm,
man. And
mhm,
I'm not gonna ask him about, oh, like maybe have you got mummy issues? Like, is that why you think
mhm.
about women's breasts all the time? Like I'm not
Yeah,
gonna go down that path with Joe Blow. But yeah, and that's where having mods is really, really important. And it sounds like you have really supportive mods. I've got supportive mods, or all of the people that I know anyway who have been
mhm.
in this community a while. They definitely have those. So yeah, surround yourself with people that you can trust, and not just like anyone. Like I know some people who've actually done like a full application form for like
Absolutely,
their modding.
absolutely. Like particularly if you, because I would hope that anyone sort of, regardless of say like the genre that they stream or their gender or whatever their life
Mm.
story is wanting to essentially have a safe space for them, and then everyone that turns up into that safe space as well. And some, like, you know, depending on who it is, they might be like, yeah, cool, like drop all the f bombs you want in chat, like
Yeah.
this is what we do here. Whereas
Mhm.
other communities are like, no, like we're all just like sort of nice and calm and respectful in here, and that's the way that we operate. So
Mhm.
take yourself from an 11 to a 5, or just leave. And if you don't leave, you'll be removed. Like, it's
Yeah.
we
Yep.
don't owe you the space if you're going to
Yep.
come in and disrupt it. Like, yeah, absolutely.
For sure. Well, Jack, I really appreciate you coming on here and sharing your thoughts and ideas, and just generally your advice about being a good human in video games and on the internet. Um, is there anything else that you'd like to share with the listeners listening, and where can people find you?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do self plug first. So you can essentially find me at Jack with the Fingers everywhere. And it'd be very lovely to meet you. So come in, say hi. Also, if I'm not your vibe, you can also leave. It's fine. I won't have my feelings hurt. It'll be okay. The so two other things. So we were talking around sort of the, you know, finding like different streamers and women to support in the
Yep.
space. So let me go through my hot list. So particularly if you're Australian, there's Hextef that you'll probably remember from Good Game. So they're doing lots of stuff in the streaming space and the online space. There is, I think they've taken a little bit of break from streaming at the moment, but Haughty Chicken, who is this fabulous older woman who I sort of came across very, very early. Beautiful community that she's created as well.
Jack is listing our alumni
Fabulous.
right now.
Yes.
We've already
go.
had both of them on.
We've got sort of Atheist Glitter, who does like lots of weird and wonderful stuff in regard to Sims, like unhinged, weird and wonderful stuff. Olive Dahlia, who's a brilliant trans woman over in the States and sort of one of the first sort of Twitch connections that I made. There's Hello Guinea, who's also in Australia, who is a streamer, but also like a game dev and a writer as well. Annie Crevice, who's another beautiful trans woman streamer, and Arevia, who is a disabled streamer who also sort of focuses around sort of disability and accessibility, similar to myself. And the second thing to plug is the PCU, the Pride's Collaboration Universe, is going to be kicking off in June, and applications for expressions of interest are currently open. So we're essentially looking for anyone and everyone who's part of the LGBTIQA+ community who would like to get involved. And there's heaps of different ways that you can get involved. This year we've got sort of showcase weeks. So we've got like a Women's Week, a BIPOC Week. I'm going to be leading the Disability Week. So it's looking like it's going to be really good fun. And you can find all the additional information as well as the application form at pcu.gg. Spiel over.
Amazing. I'll have all those links down below to all of those creators, and also if you want to apply to be part of Jack's project in June. Once again, thank you so much for being here, and
No
thank you to everyone listening and watching all across the internet. And we will see you next time for another episode of Confessions of a Gamer Girl. Bye, everyone.
See ya.